Hey, what's going on, No Nation? It's CJ Wilson here with Dope Talk. Here to bring you guys a recap of the 2024 spring FSU Spring Game Showcase. Saw some good things, saw some bad things, saw some things we can improve on. But nonetheless, make sure you guys book your tickets for Charlotte. I'm just going to start off with that. I think the team is definitely primed to be one of the better teams in the ACC, just like last year and the year before that. Nothing's going to change in that regard, so they should be competing for an ACC championship. So, like I said, saw some good things, some bad things. We're going to go position by position on some of the things that stood out to me within that position group, and we'll go from there. All right, first, let's start off with the quarterback, the topic of conversation, DJU. All right, DJ ended up into the game as far as from a statistical standpoint, 12 for 26, 177 yards. I'm looking at the numbers as far as the incompletions. I wouldn't be too alarmed about that because, as you guys know, if you watch the game, quite a few of those were due to drops by the receivers and tight ends, and we'll get to that in a second once we cover that position group specifically. But yeah, overall, I like what I saw at DJU. A lot of good throws. You saw the big arm, right? You saw the cannon that a lot of people spoke about. You could tell the FSU was going to try to attack teams downfield and tailored to DJU's strengths as far as being a downfield passer, strong arm. I think he made the right reads for the most part. There was a couple of throws I think he would like to have had back. It was run throw. He kind of tried to force it to Malik Benson in like a double cover situation, and AZ ended up breaking on the ball. Could have ended up picking it off, but ended up dropping an interception. And there was a couple others, but overall, I think it was a pretty good game for DJU, and it wasn't like some of those spring games that kind of dial back on defense and tailor towards offensive type of output in a QB friendly type of day. No, it was pretty much some live bullets as far as the defensive line. Everybody kind of getting after what you want. You want one of those work days, right? So I do think, as far as from a defensive standpoint, it's probably going to be one of the best defenses that DJU sees throughout the season would be the FSU defense. You could throw in a team like Clemson in that category as well. But from a talent standpoint, what we bring to the table, it won't get better than what he saw spring practice, the spring game, and leading into the season. Like I said, it was a couple throws that were pretty much on the damn money that some receivers did not ended up making plays on. So if you factor that in, hell, I think he ended up being like 18 or 26 with over 200 yards and a couple touchdowns due to that fact. As far as just being consistent catching the ball, he made some good plays running the ball too. You saw the athleticism. You saw him be able to get out of some situations, and also you saw him be able to, like I said, be an asset in the running game and be another factor that teams will have to deal with as far as the running aspect and using his legs as another weapon too. Big body, of course. He was a non-contact due to being a quarterback. Real quick, and shout out to the Heritage jerseys. I know a lot of people they it was rumored that they were supposed to be revealed last year against Duke for that night game. Didn't happen, but you guys know we do have the jerseys available, this, that, and other to wear at our disposal. So I thought that was pretty cool for the non-contact players to wear those jerseys, real nice. But I say that to say this: we know he's 6'5", 250, 45, 55 pounds within that weight range. So you know, if the contact jersey wasn't off and it was really live bullets, I feel like we'd be able to see how really effective he was as a runner, bouncing off of contact, getting some yards after contact, moving forward. So yeah, I think DJU is going to be a really good quarterback for us. I like what he does within the system. I like what he brings to the table. We just got to get some things around him to make the situation a lot more comfortable. Let's move on to the running back position. The running backs look very, very good. Probably the strength of the offense is the running backs as a whole. Rodell Williams, he looked damn good, damn good. I've been speaking about his patience and how his patience, looking at his Alabama tape, translates to what FSU likes to do from a blocking scheme. His game fits very well within FSU from a blocking scheme because a lot of our blocking plays or run plays are slow developing blocking plays and pulling and things like that. So you have to have a patient runner who has a lot of vision. Roydell did just that on the plethora of runs. I think we hit a home run with bringing him out of Bama. He's going to be a big time playmaker for us. He had some explosive runs and also not just explosive runs, just chain moving runs. It wasn't any runs that get you behind the line of scrimmage and negative yardage and get you behind the sticks. Everything was kind of moving forward with Rodell. So that's going to be a big thing moving forward as well, too, for the season, because as you guys know, Trey Benson, as good as he was pretty much boom or bust in certain situations. And we got behind the sticks with Trey Benson not being as patient to let the holes develop. I don't really see us getting behind the sticks as much this upcoming season. Keziah Holmes, he looked damn good. I know he had an early fumble that Mike Norvell talked about as well. That was pretty costly for the offense. That ended up being a turnover. But overall, he ran dang good. You could see the size at 220 plus, and also there was some explosiveness behind that. Had a good run. We had a touchdown. Ended up breaking, making a good cutback and meeting. If I'm not mistaken, that was Shaheem Brown in the open field. Ended up running over Shaheem Brown to go ahead for the touchdown. So you see the physical factor in Keziah Holmes. So I think he's going to be a big asset for FSU moving forward for this 2024 season. I think he would be a staple within the running back rotation for sure. I think he proved that a little bit yesterday and also throughout state spring practice. Jalen Lucas, lumped him in with the running backs. He's going to be used all over the place. He's a playmaker. Offense built for playmakers, and Jalen Lucas is a playmaker, right? You saw the explosiveness, you saw the speed, getting him out of space. It was one, run that could have been like a 3 to 4 yard gain, but due to his speed, ended up being a 10, 11, 12 yard gain. I didn't like how we used him in certain situations. I know it was probably the spring games and things like that. I think moving in the season, rather, it'll be more game planning and matchups of getting them, you know, getting favorable matchups against the opponent. But in the spring game, which is more so just vanilla doing the type of deal. So I said it to say this. It was a couple plays where we ran Lucas on the goal line. I think he fumbled too, if I'm not mistaken, on that play. But there was a couple plays we ran Lucas up the middle on the goal line. Ideally, that won't happen in the season, but in the spring game, I could definitely see it happen. But that was something that stood out to me. It's just his explosiveness and what he brings to the table. Of course, Lawrence toward Philly, we didn't see much out of him, but we know exactly what we got in Tofu. The leader of the running back room, one of the most consistent players for FSU, put on some added weight this all season. Mike Norvell stated this is the best. This is the best we've seen from Lawrence toward Philly within his time at FSU, which is really encouraging. He also did say, like I said, we know what we got in him. There's no need to, push the needle in regards to Lawrence toward Philly. We want to go ahead and stretch it out and get ready for the 2024 season going into fall camp. Let's move on to the receivers. Pretty much the same thing we've been hearing the entirety of the spring, just inconsistency, right? Ups and downs, not focusing, drop balls. We saw a lot of drop balls, Keytron Portier, things like the first play of the game, if I'm not mistaken, ended up being, I'm not sure how it happened on the defensive end, but it was a mistake as far as communication on the defensive end. Ended up freeing Keytron Portier completely open. Nice throw by DJU, ended up dropping the pass. Williamson had a multitude of drops. One that was for a touchdown, if I'm not mistaken, from DJU. So we just got to get more consistent. Of course, Malik Benson, he stood out. He was a playmaker, big time playmaker. He made a lot of plays for FSU. You see the speed, you see the route running, you see just the overall receiver, right, that you thought you was getting from Alabama, and the receiver that was the number one JUCO receiver, one of the top prospects in the JUCO ranks prior to Alabama. FSU, Florida, Alabama, hell, everybody in the country was after Malik Benson out of JUCO, and you see why. I think coming over from Alabama to FSU for a more receiver-friendly offense with a quarterback that can actually get it down the field is going to pay dividends for Malik Benson. Did ended up getting hurt during the spring game. From the looks like it was an ankle injury, probably a little ankle sprain. But the good thing about that now is we're in April, and it's spring practice. Well, spring. That's why I keep saying spring practice because we're in spring. But summer camp rather doesn't start until August, so it's plenty of time to get healed up and ready for fall camp. But you do like what you saw in Malik Benson. He's going to be a clear-cut receiver one, in my opinion. Ja'Kai Douglas, he stood up, made some good plays. Wanted to see more out of Hakeem Williams. Didn't really get the ball in his hands too much. But again, I said this is a drop in the bucket as well, too. We've got to realize that as fans. This is a drop in the bucket as far as the totality of spring. We have 15 practices. This is just, you guys saw the game yesterday. It was more so just a scripted practice with situational things that may happen in the game and such things like that. So it wasn't a full totality of what we've seen throughout the spring practice. So I want you guys to to put all your eggs in one basket as far as what you've seen within the showcase. That's just what we were able to see. You got to understand what Mike Norvell and the coaching staff was able to see consistently throughout the 15 practices. But yeah, Hakeem Williams does look good from a development standpoint, a lot bigger than last year. He's been boomer bust as well. Just got to get more consistency within that room. But Malik Benson seems to be the receiver one moving forward. Real quick, guys, make sure you guys like this video and subscribe to the channel. If you guys haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do that right now. It's going to be some really good content coming along in the future. If you guys love FSU and what in this type of news from FSU and get this type of content from FSU, subscribe right now and hit that like button for me. Let's move on to the tight ends. Jackson West had a hell of a day, man. You've been hearing good things about Jackson West and what he's been able to do this offseason in spring practice, and it kind of showcased on this past Saturday. Had a lot of big plays on the field. Of course, we like what he brings to the table from a blocking standpoint, but it's been a pleasant surprise to see him develop as a receiver. Jackson West made some pretty good plays. Landon Thomas, the five-star, he's a five-star mobile, five-star tight end out of Georgia, was committed to Georgia Bulldogs for a period of time before flipping to FSU. You can see star potential in Landon Thomas. He has big-time playmaker potential, really fluid in running his routes. He can make plays after the catch. Like what I saw, he didn't have a lot of explosive plays down the field as far as a receiver, but you can see the aspects of what he brings to the table. I think he needs to get a little bit bigger from a bulk standpoint. Again, he's supposed to be in high school right now, getting ready for prom, so that's not an issue at all. Moving forward over the summer and things like that, you want to see Landon Thomas try to bulk up and add more weight to get ready to play, a full schedule for the college season. Kyle Morlock, the top returning tight end, who's in line to be the starter for the 2024 season. We have to get more consistency from Kyle. He has to take that next step and be the leader of the room, be the leader of the, be the leader of the tight end room, and being that clear-cut starter versus being the backup last year to Jaheim Bell. We got to get more consistency from Kyle Morlock in catching the football. He had a couple drops. Just been the kind of plaguing issue from him is just consistency. So if he could take that next step and be consistent and bring to the table as far as the 6'7" frame that he has, he could be a weapon for us. Let's move on to the offensive line a little bit. Overall, it wasn't bad. I think from the running game perspective, we saw some good things. We saw, of course, I think playing against the FSU defensive line is tough as well. But they opened up some holes for the running backs against a very tough defensive front that's stingy against the run. Pass, as far as pass rush and pass blocking, rather, we struggled a little bit. Jeremiah Byers, he struggled. Looked like the Clemson game all over again, to be completely honest with you. We got to get better at that position as far as Jeremiah Byers, more consistency. Ferguson, TJ Ferguson, the transfer out of Alabama, looked pretty good. He ended up going down during the game. Not sure the extent of that injury. Hopefully get an update pretty soon, but I don't think it's anything that'll be threatening to the 2024 season. But overall, the offensive line wasn't bad. I do think we need to get a little bit better in the pass blocking phase, specifically on the right tackle position. But you're going against, Marvin Jones Jr. and Patrick Payton, those type of defensive ends and the defensive tackles. It's going to be a tough day to stop. To put a hat on those guys consistently throughout the day. So something we'll look forward, something we'll take notice looking forward, rather, as far as, the development of that tackle position. That's something I do think we need to get better at for sure. Move on to the defensive side of the ball in Coach Adam Fuller's unit. Let's speak about the defensive line first. The defensive line is very good. Patrick Payton flashed a lot. He's the defensive end we all know. We've seen the last couple of years. Added bulk for the 2023 season, the 2024 season, over 250 pounds. We're going to be one of the better defensive ends in the FSU. Patrick Payton is Patrick Payton. He was causing hell and doing things like that. The one that surprised me the most, Marvin Jones Jr. And I've been talking about him a lot on Doe Talk as far as, standing down to practice and things like that. You guys got to see it firsthand. Marvin Jones Jr. is going to be a playmaker for FSU. I wish he came to FSU directly out of high school, but again, the blessing happened a little bit later. But this kid is going to be good. Going from that 3-4 scheme at Georgia to a 4-3 with FSU and just showing his versatility. The first series rather. He had a pass deflection. We dropped him in coverage as a linebacker in the middle. Surprised DJU, deflected the pass and almost had a diving interception for us. So you see the athleticism at that size. Another 250-plus pound defensive end. I really like what we have in Patrick Payton and Marvin Jones Jr. As long as Mike Norvell, Adam Fuller, and John Pachuas, and of course Odell Haggins is coaching the defensive line, we won't have a problem with defensive ends. That's one of our staples. Very good pass rushers over the years for FSU during the Mike Norvell tenure. The 2024 season should be nothing short of the same. So really impressed with what we saw in Peyton and Marvin Jones Jr. as far as the edge. The defensive tackles look pretty good too. We played very well in the run game. Daryl Jackson is going to be a problem. Big body, 330 pounds at a 6'5" frame. He's going to be a problem. He's looking, to go to the NFL this upcoming year and take advantage of the situation. And not including we was missing Joshua Farmer, our best defensive tackle, one of the better defensive tackles in the country and the ACC. And Josh Farmer, recovering from a wrist injury. We're perfectly fine for the season, but you had a Joshua Farmer with Daryl Jackson, other guys within that defensive tackle room. It's going to be scary hours for a lot of teams. So, like what I saw to Daniel Lyons and Grady Kelly as well, we'll see how FSU attacks the portal if they want to strengthen that room. But overall, I like what I saw from the defensive line. Should be no drop off as far as production from last year to this year. Linebackers, nothing really stood out to the linebackers for the most part. Like what I saw from Blake Nicholson and DJ Lundy, we're fast. We're very fast. We have a lot of speed within the room. Cryer made a few plays. And of course, you like what you saw from Murphy, the transfer linebacker out of Alabama. But nothing stood out too crazy. I think we're in a good position within the linebacker room. We'll see. I do know because we wanted to add some. We'll add another linebacker rather in the December portal. I do foresee FSU being aggressive and trying to add another linebacker to the room as well. Defensive backs. These guys are going to be very good. They were very sticky as far as, the coverage on the FSU receivers. I was talking about the lack of separation from a lot of receivers aside from Malik Benson. And a lot of that is due to how good this defensive back room is, right? AZ, Zaire Thomas is going to be, not going to be, he is in line to be one of the better cornerbacks in the country. ACC for sure. He's probably the best overall player for FSU. And that's saying a lot, but I think this upcoming season he could be the best overall player for FSU. Just that good. You know what you get in Fentrell Cypress? Consistently one of the better cornerbacks in the ACC for the last 3 years. So we got a big-time playmaker in him as well. I like what I saw to Quindarius Jones. The backup cornerback was a true freshman last year going to a sophomore year. Real nice frame, 6'2", 190, 200-pound long arms. Really big-time playmaker. You saw some explosiveness from Earl Little, too. Earl Little Jr., even though he was a blue in one of the turquoise non-contact jerseys, you did see the explosiveness with him. I saw some good things from Edwin Joseph and Charles Lester, some of the younger guys. I think that room is very talented and won't miss a beat as far as the production. There's some uber athletic guys in the secondary. Just got to get coached up further from Patrick Surtain because we are young in some regards to the unit. And I also want to give a shout out to Devontae Brown, too, number 22. Transferred from the Miami Hurricanes. Ended up he was playing cornerback for the Miami Hurricanes. To be completely honest with you, he was terrible for Miami. Wasn't a good player. Ended up transferring from Miami and coming to FSU, transitioning from the cornerback position to the safety position. And he's taking a liking to the position. Responded very well. Made a lot of plays. The transition has been pretty seamless for him. Played a lot of football. Of course, he was a one-time starter at UCF under defensive coordinator Randy Shannon. It was a guy who went after in the portal after the 2023 season. After the 2022 season, leading up to the 2023 season. It was a decision between FSU and Miami. It led to go to the Miami Hurricanes, but ended into the transfer portal again, and now he's back not back with FSU. He's finished out his career with FSU. But Devontae Brown saw some good things out of him, a wealth of experience and things like that. So he's probably going to be a pretty good rotational piece at the safety position. Of course, you got Conrad Hussey and Keaton Kirkland, some of the younger guys we had from the 2000 that was true freshmen last year, transitioning to their sophomore year. Get more consistency and things like that. The athleticism is there, big time playmaker. So I like where we're at in the secondary moving forward. It's going to be one of the better position groups on the team. Just have to develop the young talent. So overall, it was a good output for FSU as far as, the spring game in totality. There's a lot of good things we take away from it. There's some things that we could get better at and possibly add some additions to via the transfer portal and things like that. And that's another thing as well. The portal is here. So it's going to be some There's going to be some guys that exit FSU as well within the coming weeks. We'll see how that plays out and what FSU does to replace those guys. But again, this is CJ Woods with Dope Talk. We have a recap of the spring game. Make sure you guys like this video and subscribe to the channel. Go Noles.